Hello, Fairfield. You are watching another exciting episode of Fairfield 2.0. A very special Fairfield 2.0 because we've got my buddy Owen Blake here. Owen Blake, in my opinion, being one of the most talented people that I know in Fairfield right now. And I'm very excited to do this interview with him because we're just going to be talking about all sorts of things. Music, sports, politics. No, probably not politics. But let's just dive into this. Owen Blake, producer, arranger, artist. We're going to hear some music from Owen in a little bit too. And also constructor of O Snap Audio Productions, which is what used to be, it was formerly Appleseed Recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bring us up to speed as far as what's going on over there, O Snap Audio.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're still doing some construction. We're underneath the beauty shop in the Bonnell building, and we have a full-fledged recording studio, audio recording studio, where we've been recording lots of local bands from Fairfield, from Ottumwa, Eldon, Burlington, surrounding area, as well as doing some commercials and soundtracks and stuff like that.
You've been doing commercials and soundtracks too?
Well, I did a commercial for iPhone Life magazine, which is another local company my friends own. So that was a fun project. Yeah.
Nice. How much when you go into the studio? Now you're overseeing in the capacity with something like that as producer and arranger, right? For the most part.
Yeah. For something like that, the commercial, I take it from scratch. I met with Jeff Booth, who did the video, and we talked about what he wanted from the feeling levels, what instruments, and then I put it together and record it in the studio, mix it in the studio, and then give it to him.
Okay, and you're playing all the instruments.
Yes, doing all the instruments through my MIDI keyboard. I can make an orchestra or whatever it needs to be.
Nice. What kind of samples are you using with that?
Well, I run Pro Tools. I use Pro Tools as my my computer program. I also use my Yamaha MO8 as I use the acoustic instruments from there as well. Nice. And I have some native instrument plugins that are really, really good for strings and stuff like that. So.
Now, I remember we worked on a little something like about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. What was that? Did anything ever happen out of that?
Yeah, well, you were the great teacher of one of my music classes, my favorite classes at MUM. It was a songwriting class, and I was fortunate enough that you shared a lot of your knowledge from the songwriting, and that was really great. But so I've taken that and expanded upon that, and used it in different situations with a band and then some solo stuff as well.
I was by the way, he's being very complimentary. It was more it was a bit of a directed study type of thing. Yeah. You really were working yourself, and the other two students were too.
You were giving us our direction and our guidance, so that was great.
I appreciate it. This guy was the rock of the group. I really appreciated having him in there. And also, you were coming up with some amazing stuff. What's unfortunate is there's one song which I loved, which we got to find it. It's in your archive somewhere that you came up with. We got to find it. What is your when you go into you have an assignment. Okay, I just want to go through the process here. You have an assignment. So you're hitting Pro Tools, you're hitting your computer, and you're hitting all the instruments. How do you get your synthesized instruments? Do they give you direction initially? And then if they don't give you direction, are you looking at a visual so that you're coming up with what you think is the appropriate music for that?
I try to keep everyone who's involved with it, be in touch with them as much as possible. So I like to talk to the people who are doing the video. If it's a video project, I definitely keep them in the loop. Also, kind of any overseers or anybody who started the project, I like to keep them involved as much as possible. So I get kind of some cues from them, some emotions that they want, or some instruments that they want, like I was saying. Then I get kind of a rough draft of a basic setup, and then they can say whether they like it or not. They want more up-tempo, more softer, more acoustic, more synth, so, and then I go from there. So I like to be very interactive with the people who I'm my customers,
nice.
My clients, and I like to be keep them involved as much as possible, so that it's a together, as a group project, not just me doing something and giving it to them.
That's great, because you're a team player.
Yeah, well, it makes it better process that way.
Where I'm going with this is also because you have a storied history. You have you were also you participated in basketball as one of your sports, one of your couple of sports. I think you've probably done everything, but basketball was one of the ones that you were really mostly successful in, I remember. And you even went away for a little bit. You went away to, you left Fairfield for a tiny bit for that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I played a lot of sports in high school. I played all sports, and I when I graduated in '08 from MSAE, I turned down some basketball scholarships to go to the college here in town, the MUM, and I was about to graduate from MUM, and but I'd been coaching basketball during my time at MUM, and I just had that inkling inside me. I needed to play competitive ball. I needed to get that out of my system. Otherwise, I was gonna regret it forever. So I took the plunge. I went to St. Ambrose University in the Quad Cities in Davenport,
Right.
and I got a basketball scholarship and a music scholarship to go to school there. And
Amazing.
And I was there playing ball for a while, so that was fun. Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
When it was fun, and you had the games. Did you feel like, you're talking about the team spirit as far as when you're doing musical productions, but that's something you definitely pick up. Obviously, you pick that up in sports from having to coordinate with your team. It's sort of like a group think kind of thing. Are there times when you have to break that mold, though, as far as, let's go back to music. Are there times when you have to break the mold and you have to kind of maybe reel in the client a little bit? I'm not saying that in any derogatory way. I'm saying that in a way that it's sort of like, I think the client is missing a little something here. Let me be a little bit more suggestive as far as this area.
Generally, when that happens, it's when the client doesn't know what they don't have a very pure vision. They don't really know exactly what they want, and they're kind of like, oh, do whatever you want. So then I just kind of have to, be like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and give it to them. And if they don't like it, then I can give them something else. But after a while, if they just don't know what they want, then there's not much I can do for them. So.
Right. Although they will end up with a finished product, and then they'll say if they like it or they don't like it.
Exactly.
And that happens. I used to do jingles years ago, and I remember, and I got the opportunity to maybe to put a couple of pieces to some films. It didn't work out. One worked out. One film worked out. But the interesting thing there is when you used to get the in those days it was VHS cassettes. We used to get the cassettes, and they used to be time coded, and we used to watch I used to watch the thing, and I'm realizing, okay, it's from here to here and here to here. Sometimes you'd have to guess where they were going to cut. Like you were going to have to, like you had there was one more issue. There was one more mission in looking at what they gave you, which is somewhat predicting what they were going to replace and what maybe they were going to elongate a little bit and things like that. And I was always surprised about, we knew that whatever they gave us was not the final cut. They would say, this is the final cut. It's like, no, it's not the final cut. We'll play along them. And have you found yourself in situations where you've had to keep going back because either the visual changed or something about what your music, suddenly it was okay. Oh, can you do this?
Yeah, no, definitely. They've, like you said, you give them a final project, everything's final, and then last minute they decide, oh, this has to change. So you definitely have to be flexible. You have to be able to, cut off. You can even keep that in mind when you're creating it, find possible places where you can cut or where you can fade or combine two sections together or something like that. So that's definitely part of the process.
Do you have stock music that you break out every once in a while for something like that?
Not technically. Like I've done a lot of like projects over the years that are just for my own personal growth, so
you have a bank. You do have a bank.
I do have some projects, and in fact that's what I used in the iPhone Live magazine commercial. I was looking through some of my old files, and I found a little piano riff that I really liked, and then I just expanded upon that. So that it's something that the big studios too are really doing a lot of. They just have all these stock songs that they can just whip out at a moment's notice. So
yeah, I knew somebody. One of the guys who worked with me in California on my Summerland album had an amazing. He just had endless, like what you're talking about. He would one day get inspired and write a whole thing and produce up this thing. And I said, what are you going to use that for? And he said, I don't know.
One day.
It's like, well, do you feel like maybe you want to be an artist and like get out there and do this kind of thing? It's like, no, I'll use it for commercial someday. I always loved that, to be able to do that. We've been talking about musical prowess for the last few minutes. Do you feel like playing something?
Sure.
Right about
now.
now.
I can play something.
we just heard Owen Blake play a piece to sort of prove his musical fortitude, his prowess. What was the name of that one?
Actually, I don't know. That's a personal one. I don't really have a name for it.
Okay.
It was inspired from the movie Shrek, from one of the songs from the movie. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, that's where the inspiration for that one came.
Now, did you use? We were talking earlier. By the way, in case anybody is joining us, Owen is with Oh Snap Audio Productions, and he's sort of overseeing a lot of the. He'll be producing a lot of acts over there, but you're also overseeing a lot of the logistics of what's going on over there, right? What is going on over there right now? It's still in the building phase, right?
Yeah.
Soon to be complete. But
it's yeah, we're still doing. Right now we're expanding and we're creating a mixing room. So we have a recording and tracking room for when bands come in. We have 3 different isolation booths and a mixing room, and then we're designing a whole bigger room for mixing, so we can get into mixing and mastering and doing movies as well.
Nice. Do you feel like now this is? It feels like it's the Walmart has just come to town. In a way, it's almost like. Is there a vision as far as making this like a successful business? Is this? Is that not a thought in the process? Is it sort of like build it and they will come?
I really want it to be a successful business. I really want it to be. I really want to be making my living from recording and mixing and mastering and being an audio engineer in Fairfield. Fairfield has the benefit of having so many creative minds here. There's so many people coming through town. It's a creative hub in the Midwest. So the studio actually originated. It was called Appleseed, and it was in Ottumwa originally. And then the owner, most of his clients ended up being from Fairfield, so he moved the studio here. And now he's moving on. Jonathan Natera, he's a great guy. He's moving on to Colorado. He's moving his audio business there. Oh. And so I took over the Fairfield studio, and I'm really hoping to be making a living from it. Also nowadays with technology, you don't have to necessarily be in the same location as the artist for a lot of mixing and mastering. So
right.
It's very possible to people to be sending you files
and
doing
files,
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's more online presence is huge right now. I just put up a website with some help from Joey Del Rey.
Joey Del Rey, a repeat offender, we might say here.
He's been on the show. He's great. He helped me out with the website osnapaudioproductions.com, and that's been bringing in some people, Facebook, just all these online things, bringing in people from all over the country, and so if I can be doing good work and bringing in clients from all over, then that would be really awesome. Yeah.
Really. The funny thing is that Fairfield for the longest time has been on the bubble or under the radar, however you want to look at it, for years, ever since the Beach Boys were here and all that, and because of MUM. Which was MIU. And we should probably say to those few people who don't know what that is, it's Maharishi University of Management. And before that, it was Maharishi International University. So during that whole span, there have always been, oh no, we got great studios here. We have the Beach Boys studio. We have this studio. We have that studio. But it always felt like the town, in a lot of ways, from a creative perspective, for me, has always felt like it's always waited for that next big announcement. Well, how I feel about it now, and we've had most of the town's young folk come through here as far as musicians. The way I'm feeling about it now is that I'm looking at this and I'm going, this is the generation that will do it. You guys, it's sort of like, you guys have been playing music together. I mean, this is a community. This is like you all know each other since diapers. And it's really a cool thing. And it's almost like you feel the synergy. I don't see anybody jealous of any. No, I've never seen that. I've never seen a town where the talent isn't like, maybe dissing a little bit what's going on with the other acts. There's nothing going on here. You guys are so supportive of each other. I'm really, it touches my heart with that. And also, your involvement with all these people, with all these acts. Now, let's get into that a little bit. You've been a producer and an engineer for a lot of acts. There was the Bedrooms and Basements collection. There's Josie Overmeyer's collection release. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how do you get involved? Do they come to you and they say, "Oh, and I need you to do this project with me"? And then where does it go from there with you and the artist?
With Josie was my first CD doing her whole CD. She came to me and she had a project, and I was really excited about the project. I really wanted to help out. I love her music. I've always loved her music, you know. So I just wanted to see it come to fruition. I had the skills. I had just come back from, you know, being trained to be an audio engineer.
Pro Tools camp.
Pro Tools camp, so to speak. And so I needed to get my feet wet. I needed to get into it. And so I was like, look, I'm going to help you out. We're going to do this together. I'm not going to charge anything. We're just going to, you know, so I practically moved into her house for a while with her and Nate, and we just hashed out the CD, and it ended up doing really, really well. You know, I think it's a great sounding CD, and so
beautiful.
Yeah, so you know, I had a great time working on it with Josie and Nate. I'm still really good friends with them, and Nate's helped me out at the studio as well.
Okay, let's
yeah.
Nate Hedrick,
the Josie's boyfriend,
right?
And you know, you really get. Working on a CD is a very intimate, really, project. You know,
Right.
she's spilling out her whole, you know, life and story, and so you know, you're working with that, and you know, you're working with their vision, and it's a very delicate process, and it was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. I have to tell you, not that this matters or anything, but out of the, you know, I know a lot of different eras of music, and where you came in and engineered her project. It isn't like you guys were it's sort of, it doesn't sound like a winging it album at all, and you recorded it at her house, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's a legitimate album. That's a very full record with all the great songs, all the good performances. Well, let me ask about the performances. Now, Nate was in the studio with you guys all the time when you were doing that? In the studio, meaning in that area?
Yeah.
So was there direction to Josie, or was it just sort of Josie, you just go?
It was mostly her thing. But she also gave us a lot of, she was like, you know, find something that works here. You know, we'd go out and find a banjo player and bring him in, and it was very much a collaborative effort. It wasn't so much her overseeing and saying, do this. You know, she was also, you know, letting us go out and find people we thought would add to the album and do that. Because
it was a co-producing project.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys were pulling people in and doing the whole creative element, how did you were you giving direction to the musicians at times, because you know you wanted it to fit in with what was going on originally with the tracks that were down?
Yeah, what I like to do, this is personally, I like to give them a chance to do what they think first, and then give them direction from there. You know, because a lot of times the best thing comes out when they're not thinking about it. They're just kind of what comes out freely after listening to it or something. So, you know, I don't like to force them into a box right away. You know, if we need to, we can tell them, oh, you know, too much or not enough, or, you know, but I like to first let them get their impressions out.
Nice. Yeah. And those are some of the best producers. Are all those. You let the artists do their thing, and then you kind of like go, okay, what about this? What do you think about this? Sort of as a suggestion. You know, I regret it. We had one opportunity where we were going to produce together. Perhaps it'll happen again someday. But I feel the vibe from you is definitely you've got your combination of old school and new school with this, and I do come from old school with an appreciation for new school. You know, coming in and because my last couple of projects had, you know, a lot of synth, a lot of samples, a lot of stuff that was put on there, and it was recorded in somebody's living room, basically. And I felt like during the process, I was a little afraid of losing the organics of what the album was. And I think in moments I actually did. I think some of the overdubs are great and whatever, but I feel like overall the project, had I to do those projects now, I would be more organic about it. I'd be more realistic about the instruments, and that's where I feel like you balance both. And one of the interesting things also is that you've got this relationship with everybody, all the young folks, young musicians in town, and young artists in town, and you've worked on the collection bedrooms and basements. So you worked with other artists too.
Yeah.
Who are some of the other ones that you worked with?
Joey Del Rey put a song on there, and Nate Hedrick put a song on there. The Rabelais brothers did some music for that. And there's just a bunch. I mean, Fairfield has so much talent. There's so many people who we contacted, and everybody submitted tons of stuff. We got a bunch of different collaborations of mixes between people, and there's so many different bands in Fairfield. It's pretty amazing. But you know, so we tried to represent the Bonnell Building and the Beauty Shop project, and and I thought we did a pretty good job. It was a pretty good album, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good album.
Yeah.
But you sort of oversaw a lot of what went on there, right?
I was
Or at
involved
least
with that,
engineered.
but also the Jonathan Terra, who previously owned it, was kind of the main spearhead guy for that project. So
Yeah.
I kind of jumped on board after that. I was around during that time, but mostly I jumped on afterwards. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because it started as a seed, you might say, and then the thing really turned into. It was unexpected to me how it turned out. It turned out as this really holistic, a really like listenable, top to bottom project that represented Fairfield pretty well. The young acts in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Do you feel? Let me ask you a here's the political question. It's not political. Do you feel that what is the synergy or future synergy that's possible between the younger acts and the older acts? And I'm going to I have to put the little caveat in there because I'm a big fan of both groups, but I have to say I gravitate more towards the younger music because I just appreciate what's going on. It's more innovative. It's more it's more exciting. It's more interesting. What's going on as far as like experimental and genre bashing and things like that. But however, I feel like in the same way that the studio's ambitions are to be an important studio in the Midwest and all that, and have like folks, I feel like as the musical community, there could be one more level of integration between maybe the younger artists and the older artists. And I don't know, it's traditional. The younger acts kind of want to hang out. It's because it's a hangout basically too. And then the older acts kind of have their thing. You have your children, you have your marriages that have been around forever. It's a different kind of life. But for me, it seems like the success in Fairfield with the whole musical community is going to be the synergy between everybody. Because there's just too much talent on the other end also to kind of be ignored. But how do you make all of that fit? What do you think got any thoughts on?
Well, for Fairfield, the one thing that's been really doing well is just all the shows, because people come from all ages and all categories of life to these shows. So, having such great venues like Cafe Paradiso, and the Beauty Shop and, all these, the Civic Center, it's just amazing. And so we get everybody to go to these shows and that really creates, people are aware of then all this new music that's happening. And Fairfield is really great at supporting its own, so it's really easy to, you do a show and you get lots of support, lots of people coming out. So all these new artists or continuing artists who want to be doing music, they get so much support from Fairfield. So.
Yeah, I saw the funny thing. The proof of this is if anybody was at that Eli Lieb concert, and everybody, it was like after every song, and Eli has a particular style that's sort of like, I think it's pretty even keel. I don't know how to describe it other than so it's sort of like on this level, and it's very good music. It's just you wouldn't expect the reaction that he gets virtually after every song. It's like everybody's on their feet. He could fill up the Sondheim. I mean, it's like, Fairfield definitely supports its own. And it was that's the sweet element of this town. On the other hand, there's an element of that which I think it gets a little tricky because how does the artist ever really know? And I've never heard anybody booed here. There certainly has never been booed. It's probably never been booed. Probably one artist has never been booed. But there's something to levels of applause, levels of reaction, and I'm not sure anybody gets. Once anybody gets the feedback that completes the picture of, well, was that really that good? Because everybody loves you so much here. So when they go out into the world, when an artist goes out into the world, I think they get their butts kicked a little bit because the reactions will be a little more like, well, maybe you should have done this, blah, blah, blah. That'll be a little more harsh than what's here because we're also we're very insular and we're very what's the word? Not parental. We're very nurturing. We're very nurturing. And I think that's, and I take it, I don't really mean it as a fault to Fairfield. That's not a fault. It's more like it's just an interesting thing. It's sort of like because when these guys go out into the outside world's very different, as anyone knows with anything.
Yeah. I mean, but also a lot of the groups have done well, in terms of, not a lot of Fairfield groups have all toured and stuff like that, but the ones that have done really well and found kind of their places and, they're not really pursuing it at the professional level, so to speak.
Right.
But, they've gone around and done their local tours and have done pretty well. So,
yeah. I mean, I've noticed, especially things like Trouble Lights, groups like Trouble Lights and any configuration that Phil and
Dominic
are part of, and Surgery and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
And I saw I went to a couple of events, and I saw the reactions. These are, in my opinion, that's why I'm very, very excited about Fairfield's young culture and young musical culture, because I feel that there is really a lot of potential here. Because I see it, I see the reaction. I'm going, with a little, sort of like the manager element wants to come out and go, if they just did a little of this, tweaked a little of that. But I think they're figuring it out on their own, which also is another cool thing. I feel like everybody's I feel the healthiest thing, and I didn't always feel this way, and I didn't always act this way, but I've kind of felt like the missing element was a little direction. But I feel like people are doing their evolution at their own speeds, and they're creating their own music at their own levels, and it's going at a nice pace for everybody as they're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, what are you gonna say to that? And like you said, I don't think everybody wants to leave Fairfield and become big stars.
Yeah.
That isn't sort of what's going on. In fact, if anything, people love they go on the tours. They do the usual places, their tours, and then they come back to Fairfield as sort of like, oh, thank God I'm home.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think that's changing as well because of how the music industry is changing. I mean, it used to be that you were handpicked and groomed and then, put on tour. But now YouTube is the biggest public, you know what I mean? You put your stuff on YouTube, you make your own music in your house, you make your own music videos, and you upload it on the internet, and you publish yourself. You're doing everything yourself, doing everything from your own room, your own house, and so you're able to get that audience. Your video goes viral, and you have millions of views, and you didn't do much, you know what I mean? So it's like you came up with a new idea maybe, or you had a good interesting act or something, So people are able to, from their house, create these albums, these genre bashing, music and songs that is being heard throughout the country without going around the tour and stuff like that. So it's kind of the new paradigm, the new way that the music industry is going, and that's
well, what's left of the music industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the labels have become marketing tools as opposed to being. You used to, like you said, the old school version of like taking an act and grooming them. I'm still very much a fan of that in some respects, because I think there are some acts that do need grooming. They just need suggestion. They need a little guidance. But on the other hand, when we're talking specifically about like Fairfield, these acts know what they're doing. They don't. Nobody needs any grooming here. But I feel like it's time for another song, don't you?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think where it's going is a really great place. I think that people are able to get their music out there without needing the support of some corporate company. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're able to, if they have a vision, they can pursue it and do it by themselves and have it be heard. Without needing any support from anybody, I mean, they can do it themselves and it can be heard,
Yeah. Well, and all the social networks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the way. It's just
huge. It's huge. I mean, getting views on YouTube is almost more important than, getting some money in the bank to start, because then from your YouTube fans, you then can go somewhere on tour, and you have all these fans all around the country just from So Eli Lieb's a great example of that.
Yeah.
He has a huge following on YouTube, and he's apparently a celebrity now in New York. His album has been doing great, and we're working on his second album right now together, actually, which is great.
Now you had a little hand in the first album too.
Yeah. He came to me and he'd heard that I was doing some engineering and stuff, and said, "Hey, can you come over for an afternoon and take a look at what's going on?" And I came over, and it turned out there was a lot more than just an afternoon's worth to kind of help him with. So, but we, from my knowledge mixed with his knowledge, we were able to really come out with a really great album. I think he did a great job, and I mean, for me, that was a really big project for me because, the head of Sony Records heard that album. He's handed that album out to a lot of different people, and for them to put their stamp of approval on it was huge for me. To know that what I'm doing has been heard by these top level people who give it the stamp of approval, who say that this is great, this is fine, we don't need to touch it, So that was huge for me and my self-confidence, and so now we're working on a second album, and we're kind of we're stepping it up a notch, and we're trying to make it even better, and we're working on some some string ensemble parts, and we're going to record that in the studio, and I think that'll be really sweet.
Nice. Are you going to use local?
Yeah, we're going to use local. We've been talking with the director of the Fairfield Orchestra and the surrounding Southeast Iowa Orchestra, and we're going to try to get them involved, and I think that'll really, getting as much organic sounds mixed with the synth. I mean, that's like you were saying, the old school mixed with new school. It's really, really cool. The synths mixed with the acoustic instruments. We're getting some really cool sounds. So.
Yeah, in the old school, you used to have to fatten by having, and paying more musicians to play other parts but you don't have to do that these days. It's so cool. Yeah. Are you ready to play another song, sir?
Sure. I can play another one.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What was the? Should I ask what the name of that is? But
that again, I don't really.
But what's the story behind it?
That one was made for. I was thinking of going to a music school up in Minnesota called McNally and Smith, and that was done as a project in high school for that, and it was kind of I had to base it off of 3 different elements, and so I kind of combined those 3 into
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you did you always have a desire to play the keyboard? I mean, what got you into playing?
Well, I started playing piano when I was 7, and I was classically trained from 7 to about 16 or so, and then I started doing my own improvs, and kind of that's when I really started to enjoy my music and really started to go crazy with the piano and making my own stuff and kind of letting it come freely every time. It's a little different every time. That I really enjoy, be able to kind of let the emotions kind of just flow through, and that was really what got me inspired. And yeah,
I mean, you can hear it especially in that one because I mean there are one of my favorite piano players, although not because of his technical abilities or anything like that, is George Winston. And I was zoning out in the same way I would zone out in a good way. I was still very focused, but I was like very into the moment of what you were playing, and that's one of the cooler things that I think I've heard you play.
Cool.
So how do you do the mix? You're a jock. You're a musician. What is this?
I don't know. I've always. I mean, I'm really busy, so I do a lot. I do a lot, and I cram a lot into my day, and I enjoy so many different things. So I've never been one to really just focus just on basketball or just on music or just on anything really. I try my best at everything, and then I work hard at it. So
you really do. Yeah. Do you take time to like typical day or maybe typical every couple of days? Do you take time to go play some basketball still?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I still play at the rec center every Monday, Thursday in town.
All right.
We got a good group. Yeah.
Do you end up? Do you find that? Does it help balance you? Like, what is the relationship between the physical aspect and the creative aspect?
I think definitely there's a balance. You definitely don't want to go overboard with just one. And I find that when I do, I oftentimes make sure that I stop and either balance with some physical activity, or if I'm doing too much sports, I like to make sure that I let my creativity flow, and because otherwise, if you're just doing sports, I feel a little constricted. I feel like I can't kind of let my creativity flow and be unbounded with that. And then if I'm just doing music, I get a little restless, and I need to get some competitive fire going. So it's a good mix. It's a good mix. Yeah.
Do you find that are there sports that you're other than basketball, tennis, for instance?
Yeah. No, I love playing a lot of different sports. I never even like I said, I never focused. I never even really focused just on basketball. I always played. In the off season, I was always playing. I played soccer. I played baseball. I played tennis. So I never really wanted to just focus on one thing. I always like to diversify.
So you played baseball too?
Yeah.
What position?
Too. I was a pitcher for a long time, and then,
has there ever been more of a golden boy on this show? I don't know.
And then what happened was my eyesight started to go bad. Hence the 4 eyes now.
Which is very stylish. But
thank you. But I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't know what was going on. But all of a sudden, I wasn't hitting very well, and I couldn't figure out why. So for a long time, I struggled in baseball for a couple of years at the end. But then I finally got my glasses, and that helped me out.
Please tell me you made D's in your classes.
Yeah, no.
No, okay, right. You made A's, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All American too. Wonderful.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. Are there any other things that you wanted to? This is a perfect question for you. Are there any things that you want to learn or you want to get into that you haven't yet? I mean, because you have such a full, docket at this point.
I mean, for me, it's just kind of going deeper into, I really want to be able to create soundtracks for movies like what you're doing. I want to be able to do some of that more. And for me, I haven't quite diversified my knowledge yet. I need to. I really want to do that. I really want to keep up with everything that I'm doing and just kind of go deeper and yeah.
By the way, is Sony picking up the second album?
No, that's not. I don't think so. I think Eli's gonna do that just by himself again.
Okay.
I believe. We were not at that point yet, but
it's interesting. Yeah. I have some thoughts on that. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
But I also wanted to ask you: Are there any non-musical, non-sports, non-academic things that you want to be getting into? I mean, are there things like skydiving? I mean, that's a sport, I guess. But are there things you still want to get to you haven't gotten to yet?
Well, I'd really like to travel. I'd really, that's something
Okay.
that has kind of been creeping up on me for a little bit.
Where do you want to go?
All over. There's a lot of places I want to go. I really want to go to. I spent some time in South Africa because my mom's South African. She's from Johannesburg. So I really want to go back there and spend some more time there. As well, I'd love to go to India. I'd love to go to Europe. There's a lot of places I want to go, but I've always been so busy that I've never really had time to travel much. So that would be fun.
Have you ever been anywhere outside the United States?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I've been to Africa a couple of times, and I've been to Vlodrop in Holland and a little bit in Canada. But yeah.
All right. Do you know about? I forget the name of the series. 2 series that he did, Ewan McGregor, where he traveled up and down. He traveled. The one that I remember most is one he did at Africa.
Oh, okay.
It's
I haven't seen it.
amazing.
I should see that.
Amazing.
I looked it
I
up.
can't remember what the name of the series is, but him and his buddy, they get
Okay.
on bikes.
Motorcycles. Okay, yeah, I think
They
I've
travel
heard
the
of that
country,
one.
and then they
Nice.
discover, and you get exposed to all the different musics of the
Cool,
area. You
cool.
get exposed to all the different cultures and the politics. They accidentally get involved, get entrenched in some of the events that happen down there.
Nice.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Is that what you're sort of seeing? You're sort of seeing a little Easy Rider come.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Do you have any plans as far as the Owen Blake album?
That's been something that people have been asking me for a long time. I've never really gotten into doing my own solo stuff as much. Like I do my piano, but I would love to do that, but I just need time to do that, to really flesh out. I don't even know what kind of music I would want to make it. I have kind of a lot of different styles that I enjoy doing and enjoy being a part of. I would have to I'd really have to spend some time and figure out what I want to do. But it's definitely on my list to do. I need some more time. Hopefully when I'm full time in the studio, that would be my goal for sure.
And you have a little time for voice lessons, or
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's an inside joke, guys. We did some voice lessons together, and he got real busy, and I'm like, Owen, come back! Your voice, you gotta.
No,
but it was really a good. That was a. Owen also sang he wrote a couple of songs during this class that were amazing, and we were also working on his voice and working on lyrics and things like that, in addition to just keyboard playing, which isn't just in your case. But it's a pretty cool. You've got a pretty cool life right now. Are you? What is your prediction? Owen Blake 5 years from now, what will have happened? Do you think?
I mean, I love Fairfield, so I'd love to still be around. I'd love to have the music studio be bigger and better, and I'd love to be helping out. I love coaching sports. I've been doing that for the last couple of years, so I'd love to still be doing that.
Are you doing that right now?
No, I'm working at MUM and admissions right now, so I've been too busy for coaching. But I'd love to be doing that. I love to teach piano lessons. I have some students now that are doing great, and
Cool.
And I'd love to do more of that.
Any shout outs you want to?
Yeah, no.
Are you also? I cut you off 5 years from now. What else do you want to do as far as? Do you want to be like bi-coastal in addition to being like a Fairfieldian?
Yeah, I'd love to have a studio somewhere, maybe in like LA or New York or something. That would be great to be able to work with artists from all over the place. That would be awesome. And just expand the studio out.
Nice.
That would be great. Yeah.
Well, it also depends on a lot of, everybody's crossing their fingers. Everything is. It's a very strange thing that's happening in Fairfield right now. Everything is getting upgraded, and I'm not sure. Is that because it's focusing? These businesses are looking at a big growth in Fairfield, or are they looking at something, or are they catering to more of the local towns and just appreciating the property cost and whatever in Fairfield? I don't know. I'm hoping it's the other. I'm hoping it's because they're investing in Fairfield.
Yeah.
So, and this is what you're doing too.
Yeah.
And in fact, is this your studio for the most part?
Yes.
This is your studio?
Yes, my studio, yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm putting my money into it in terms of renovating it and putting equipment in there and stuff. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is really an all the best moment. All the best.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean,
Oh, my God.
that's something that's like you're talking about Fairfield. That's what makes everybody who is from here doesn't just want to. They don't all just leave. They come back and they support the community and they put their they work here and they put their money into the community as well. And that's why one reason why Fairfield is doing so well.
Yeah. Right. All right, we have time to sort of like do a little wrap up and also to have one more song. You have one more song we could play?
Sure, I'll try to do one more. Yeah.
Bless you. Upstairs we were applauding with their feet.
Oh,
You hear the rumble, rumble, rumble. That was beautiful. Another, it's like a, I don't want to say George Winston, but it's the same kind of zone that I go to when I'm listening to you play like that. That's really pretty cool, man. I would adopt you if I could, but, I can't. But I could have you on the show, and I'm really appreciative that you came here today, Owen.
Great,
You're seriously one of my favorite people, like, ever. And it's been a joy watching all the fun stuff you've been doing over the last couple of years.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. Yeah. No, it's great. Thanks for having me, and I think it's awesome that you're pulling together the Fairfield, talent, and you're organizing it, and I think it's really great everything you're doing. So
thank you. I'm not really doing much. I'm only a fan. I mean, seriously, I'm just trying to offer support where I can. I think I get in trouble when I get more heavy-handed because I'm too old school. What can I say? It's sort of like, hey, kid, gonna make you stop. No, I don't really go there. But it is kind of funny with what I'm watching now. It's been an education. You guys have taught me so much more than I knew before. It was just it's a different reality. It helped me make the shift into really what's happening now in today's music. Okay, that's Fairfield 2.0 today, and this was a really special one for me. Owen, you want to give a shout out to your piano teacher or something like that?
Yeah, well, thanks for everybody, all my coaches and my teachers and everybody that, it's helped me be where I am today. So thanks, yeah.
Yeah. All the best, man.
Thanks,
you
Mike.
are
Really appreciate
incredible.
it. Yeah, thanks.
Come back for another exciting episode. Although I don't know how we top this one, but we'll try.